Josh Delek, welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly news edition on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. Let us look at today's headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama reassures determination to live more than 100 years. Tibet Lobby Day witnesses joint press conference on Bicameral and Bipartisan Tibet Bill. Kashag convenes 4th Permanent Strategy Committee meeting. Kalon discusses future collaborations with Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. Deputy Speaker meets with Swiss Mayor Namgyal Gangshontsang. Representative Singey calls on new co-chair of Australian All-Party Parliamentary Group for Tibet. Never Forget Tibet, a documentary film by John Paul Martinez, sees a huge turnout. Representative Chukki receives Kyabje Yongzin Ling Rinpoche in Switzerland. On Wednesday this week, a prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama's long life was offered to him at Tuklakang, the main Tibetan temple, by students, staff and former students of Tibetan Homes Foundation and the Central School for Tibetans, Mussoorie, as well as former students and vocational trainees of CST Panchmari. During the religious gathering, His Holiness the Dalai Lama once again reiterated his commitment and determination to live a long life.
So, people of Tibet, China and Mongolia, as well as others, particularly among scientists, there are many people who admire me. And so amongst the Chinese proper, there are, even amongst the party members, there are many people who admire me, who are devoted to me. And so with regard to Tibetans from the 3 traditional provinces, there are many people who keep their hope, have their hope in me. So if I could live long, it would be beneficial for all of them. So please make your prayer for my long life, and I will also make my determination to live over 100 years, 110 or so.
A joint press conference on the Bipartisan and Bicameral Tibet Bill promoting a resolution to the Tibet-China conflict was organized at the U.S. Capitol House Triangle following the U.S. Congressional Executive Commission on China's hearing on Tibet, preserving Tibet cultural erasure, forced assimilation and transnational repression on 28 March. As part of the Tibet Lobby Day 2023, the 4 bipartisan co-sponsors of the Tibet Bill, House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCall, House Committee on Rules ranking members Jim McGovern, CECC's co-chair Senator Jeff Merkley, and member of the Senate Committee on the Foreign Relations, Senator Todd Young, along with Richard Gere, the chair of International Campaign for Tibet, spoke to the press about the bill, which is aimed to support the long-standing goal of getting Tibetan and Chinese Communist Party leaders to resolve their differences peacefully through dialogue. The participants of Tibet Lobby Day, including Congresswoman Nicole Maliotakis and Congressman Michael Lawler, also joined the press conference and expressed their appreciation to the co-sponsors for their support. The Tibetan representatives, including the International Campaign for Tibet Chair Richard Gere, Pujung Sering and Tencho Gyatso from ICT, and Representative Namgyal Chudup with the Office of Tibet's Chinese Liaison Officer Tsultum Gyatso met with Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi. The former speaker was briefed during the meeting about the Tibet Lobby Day and Tibet-related legislation matters. Similarly, Congressman Chris Smith arranged a meeting with the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy, at the Speaker's office in the U.S. Capitol. During the meeting, Richard Gere and Representative Namgyal Chudup briefed the Speaker about the ongoing situation inside Tibet and Tibet-related legislation matters. The Tibetan representatives also met with the new Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries after the hearing. The team updated Democratic leader on the Bicameral Tibet bill and apprised the situation inside Tibet. The 16th Kashag of the Central Tibetan Administration held its 4th Permanent Strategy Committee meeting on Thursday this week in Dharamshala. During its 3-day meeting, the committee will follow up with the implementation of measures prescribed at the previous 3 meetings and additionally will discuss the progress of the ongoing strategic programs and will deliberate on future advocacy initiatives as per the committee's objectives. The meeting is presided over by Sikyong Pembatsring and attended by all committee members comprising Kasur Tembatsring, Kasur Thongjung Ngodup, former representative of His Holiness at Tibet Bureau in Delhi, and former Special Envoy Kyabje Yongzin. In attendance were also Kalon Dolma, Department of Information and International Relations, Kalon Domageri, Department of Security, Secretary Kama Rinchen, Department of Security, Secretary Kama Chuing, Department of Information and International Relations, Secretary Dawat Sering of Tibet Policy Institute, and Political Secretary Tashi Gyatso of Kashag Secretariat. Ngabat Segem, Secretary from the Gandhi Podang office, is also attending the meeting. Kalon Dolma and Secretary Kama Chuing of the Department of Information and International Relations, Central Tibetan Administration, concluded the official visit to Taiwan last week. On the final days of their visit, Kalon met with the President of Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, Huang Yuling, accompanied by Representative Kelsang Gelsimbawa and Secretary Mingyu Yudu of the Office of Tibet, Taiwan. During an hour-long interaction, Kalon Dolma introduced her official visit programs and engagements to the President of Taiwan Foundation for Democracy and expressed her gratitude to the organization for funding and supporting the CTA's projects, especially for undertakings of the Taiwan-based Office of Tibet. President Huang Yuling of the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy lauded Kalon Dolma and Secretary Kama Chuing for visiting Taiwan and shared his solidarity with the current situation inside Tibet and ensured Taiwan's interest in supporting CTA's undertakings internationally and domestically. Deputy Speaker Dolma Tekang met with Namgyal Gangshontsang, Mayor of Hauteville MC, a municipality in District of Milan in the canton of Zurich in Switzerland on Thursday last week. Mayor Namgyal Gangshontsang was accompanied by his father, Ngawang Gangshontsang, a former member of the 12th Tibetan Parliament in exile from Europe, and his mother, Rinpoche Gangshontsang. During the interaction, Deputy Speaker Tekang congratulated Mayor Namgyal Gangshontsang for holding such a prestigious political position and making Tibetans around the world extremely proud of his achievements. Mayor Namgyal Gangshontsang was elected the mayor of Hauteville MC in 2022. He is the first ever Tibetan to be elected as the mayor in Switzerland and had previously been a local councillor, head of the security department and second vice president. Representative Kama Singey paid a courtesy call on Senator Dean Smith, the new co-chair of the Australian All-Party Parliamentary Group for Tibet, representing the Liberal Party, to felicitate him on his new role on Thursday last week. Senator Dean Smith has assumed the role of co-chair following the MP Warren Ench's resignation after years of commitment to the Parliamentarians Group for Tibet. Representative Kama Singey was accompanied by Dr. Zio Bedford, Executive Officer of Australia Tibet Council, and Tibet Information Office new Chinese Liaison Officer Dawa Sangmo. The parliamentary group is currently co-chaired by 3 members from all major political parties, namely MP Susan Templeman from the Labour Party, Senator Dean Smith from Liberal Party, and Senator Janet Rice from Australian Greens. Never Forget Tibet, a documentary film on the story of Tibet's struggle with the personal journey of displacement that His Holiness the Dalai Lama went through up close along with the Indian officer Harminder Singh and His Holiness' own family members, was screened at Everyman in London Borough area on Thursday last week.
Sisters and brothers, I really appreciate so many people.
The screening also includes photographs of Tibet taken by Henrik Herra before the Chinese invasion, which provide a glimpse of ancient Tibet. John Paul Martinez, the film producer and director, spoke about his journey on this film venture and his experience of moment of meeting with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Representative Sonam Farsi gave the opening address where he shared with the audience the message of oneness he has brought back from his audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamshala 2 weeks back. He assured the audience that the film will magnify and amplify His Holiness' approach to life through kindness. Special guest Dr. Deepak Chopra spoke about the life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and paid tribute to His Holiness' work as a global messenger of peace, compassion and wisdom. The screening of the movie was followed by a question and answer session with Dr. Deepak Chopra and John Paul Martinez, chaired by Sati Frost. Kyabje and Yongzin Ling Rinpoche arrived in Switzerland as part of the Europe tour on Thursday last week. Upon arrival in Switzerland, Rinpoche was warmly received at the Zurich airport by Representative Thinley Chukki of the Tibet Bureau Geneva, along with the President and Vice President of the Tibetan community of Switzerland and Liechtenstein, joined by sponsors and other members of the Tibetan community. At the request of Tibetan community of Switzerland and Liechtenstein, Kyabje Yongzin Ling Chodri Rinpoche bestowed lifelong empowerment at Stadthalle Dagiton, Zurich on 1st April. Thousands of Tibetans and Tibetan Buddhist followers gathered to receive empowerment. Representative Thinley Chukki attended the empowerment prayer session and also offered mendel to Kyabje Yongzin Ling Rinpoche. Kyabje Ling Rinpoche during his visit in Switzerland had interactive sessions with the Tibetan youth and also met with the section leaders of the Tibetan community in Switzerland and Liechtenstein at the Tibetan Community's office based in Zurich. Rinpoche is scheduled to travel to Australia, Germany, Spain and France following the engagements in Switzerland, which will conclude on 13th April. That is all for this week's news edition on Tibet This Week. Thank you for watching Tibettv.